Salam everyone. Thank you for joining us. Um, so today we go into the heart of this topic and really focus on the experiential knowledge about ourselves and the nature of God. And so it requires a different type of mindset, a different focus. And so we need to be much more contemplative as you listen. This is not a topic to listen to only with your head, only with your intellect, but needs to be absorbed at a deeper level. And needs to be explored directly with your own experience. It's not something to be thought about, but something to be seen. So that's the advice I have about how to approach this whole part, this section that we're going into. And I can honestly tell you that in my own personal experience, what we are going to talk about today and what we're going to explore over the next couple of sessions truly changed my life. And through it, I experienced a true level of inner peace and happiness that I had not found in any other way. So it's really is life-changing if you approach it in the right way and do it genuinely with your own experience. Nothing that we do or explore or say here should be just accepted. Everything is to be experienced directly for yourself and see where you agree or disagree and raise any questions that you have. But that's what makes this part different to everything else, because up to now we've explored, first of all, we explored being, wujud, and then we came to explore consciousness. But even when we've talked about consciousness, we've really explored it from the outside, from the external, looking at the brain, looking at the interaction between the mind and the brain, all from the outside, from the external point of view. What we're doing now is going inwards and exploring our direct experience from the first person perspective, from the perspective of I. Okay. So let me share some slides and we can start. So last time we talked about the philosophical questions around consciousness. But now we're going to go inwards. And so we start with a few basic questions. Really, the core of what we're doing is effectively asking the question, who am I? What is this I that I refer to? So I'll start by just framing it and starting with sort of an overview of that, and then we will go into it in more detail. Initially, the question is, who am I essentially? And when I say essentially, it should be the core of my being. Something that is not essential means something you can remove. You remove things that are extraneous, extra to the core. What remains after you remove everything that is not essential to what you are? Okay? That's the question we're asking. Because when we say I, what do we refer to? When I say this pen, or I say this phone, it's very clear what I am referring to. I'm referring to this object. I'm referring to this object. But when I say I, what are we actually referring to? Is it this body? Is it this mind and personality, or is it something else? What is it that we're referring to when we say I? Okay. And we're going to explore that, as I said, with direct experience from the point of view of the subject. Remember, we talked about this before. There's the subject and there's the object. Okay. Anything that we are conscious of, that is the object of our awareness. And then, so those are objects. But then there's the subject. The subject here doesn't mean the topic. It means the one that is observing, okay? The one that is aware. So we're looking at things from the point of view of the subject, not the objects, okay? And when you do that, when you start to explore experience and what its nature is, it takes you into the body and into the mind, okay? So if I tell you right now, right here, to close your eyes and look within you and say, what are you experiencing right now? You'll see that essentially you can divide that into two types of experience. Okay. There's the body. What we think of as the body is actually just a flow of sensations. Sensations of heat or cold or pain or tingling or itching, whatever it is, it's a sensation. We normally think of the body as this solid physical object. But actually, if you explore the body from your experience, there is nothing solid and physical actually. What there is a flow of sensations. Okay, you feel different types of sensations. That's what the body is to us. Okay. Then if you explore your mind and see what are you experiencing from the mind, what you see is that there is a flow of thoughts, emotions, images in your mind, memories, just a stream of these mental objects that are flowing through your mind. Okay. So these are the two very clear types of experience that we have. And if you open your eyes, the same thing actually continues. When you look in the outside world, again, there are different types of sensations that are coming, different types of perceptions that are coming into your awareness. Okay, so we're just starting to frame things because most of us have spent most of our lives not focusing on what's going on inside us. We're just not taught to do that. And so here we're directing our attention to see what is happening in my experience, not just taking things for granted and just assuming we know what they are or what's going on. Okay, now one clear thing you see from all of these different types of experiences is that they're always coming and going. It's just a constant flow. There's actually nothing in your experience that is permanent. None of these objects, none of these experiences are actually permanent. It's actually just always changing, coming, going. It's always in flux, okay? And so from that, what we can say is that these experiences are not essential to me. Now, why do I say that? Because they're not permanent, right? Thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations, perceptions, all of these things that we just quickly scanned, none of them are permanent. None of them stay with me ever, actually. They're always coming and going. And yet, I'm not coming and going. You know, when a thought comes and a thought leaves, I don't go with it. I don't come with it. I don't go with it. They are not essential to what I am. I'm aware of them, but they're not me. They are not essential to what I am. Okay, so these are just the basic initial observations that we make about the content of and the nature of our experience. So the question then becomes, who is experiencing all of this flow of the body and the mind, right? You know, they are appearing to something. What is it that is aware and is experiencing those? Okay, so that's where we're heading. And so the analysis that I want to go into is called the analysis of the seer and the seen. Okay, the one who sees and that which is seen. And what we're doing is we're really trying to isolate, you know, what is the true self, my real essence, who I am, which is what we call the ruh. We're trying to isolate it. And this is a really interesting way to just try to become more aware of what's actually going on in our experience. Okay, none of this is going to sound, you know, like a complicated idea that we've never heard of before. It might sound very basic, very simple, but that's what I'm saying. Don't judge it just as a bunch of words. Actually see if it's true, and you might be surprised by what you find. I was when I looked. So what we're going to do is follow a few steps to analyze this approach, and we're going to start with a few key principles. Okay, first one is, the one who knows is different from that which is known. Okay, so it's just separating. It's a very standard idea. The one who knows, right, the one who is seeing, is different from that which is known. The subject is different from the object, right? When I see the pen, right? This pen is the object. I'm the subject, right? Now, the one who is the subject, the one who knows, is different from what is known, the object. It's just there's a distinction between the two. Okay, they are not the same thing. The seer and the seen are different entities. They have to be, right? It's just logical. The seer and the seen are different entities. Okay, now let's take this analysis through 4 simple steps, very obvious, but actually quite profound. Step 1. Oh, I'm sorry, the order of these things are jumping around, sorry. Step 1 says, the world of forms and colors are the seen, the eyes are the seer. Okay, so I see the pen or any other object outside. The form and the colors of the object is what is seen. The eyes are what are seen then. Yes, simple, very obvious. Step 2, the eyes themselves become the seen, and the mind is the seer, right? What do I mean by this? Well, I established that the eyes are what sees, right? The eyes are what see the objects, But if I close my eyes, or I open my eyes, or if my eyes are not seeing clearly, maybe it's out of focus, or my eyes are seeing clearly, the condition of the eyes, the condition of the seeing, that is seen. Who knows that? Or who sees? Who's aware of the condition of the eyes? It's the mind, right? I know. I know that my eyes are open. I know my eyes are, my mind is aware of that, right? My awareness, my mind is aware when my eyes can see clearly. My mind is aware when my eyes cannot see clearly. Okay, so the eyes were the seen, the mind is what sees them. Okay, that's step 2. Step 3, the mind itself is seen, and something is seeing the mind. Okay, and we call that the witness of the mind. Okay, the witness is the seer. So the mind is seen, and something deeper than the mind is seeing it. So what do we mean by this? What I mean is, again, examine within your mind. You have a thought. Just a thought comes. Thought is, oh, I need to take my car to the garage tomorrow. Here's a thought. Okay. That's an object. It's a mental object. It's subtle. It's not like a physical object, but it's like an object. If you develop your concentration, you can almost like see it in your mind. It's a very clear object. So that's part of your mind. That's what the mind is. It's made of these thoughts and emotions and images. Okay. So the mind is seen, but who sees the thought? Right? Who sees the mind? What we see there is that there is a deeper level to the mind, which we call the witness consciousness. That is the consciousness. That is the core of what you are. And the last thing to say about that witness is that the witness can never be seen as an object, meaning that the witness is not an object. Okay. It doesn't have any shape or form. Okay. It is this pure subject. And you can explore this in your own experience. Just see that actually whatever appears in the mind is seen. It's probably something, I don't know, maybe you guys are aware of it, but for me, when I first came across this, it blew my mind because I had never thought about seeing the fact that even my mind is being observed. There's a deeper part of me, which is observing the mind itself. Okay, most of the time we're not aware of that, but it is happening. Okay, and so from this, what we say is locate yourself. All right, there's a kind of experiment we're going to do just to try to see this a bit more clearly. Okay, we're going to locate ourselves. So this is what I want you to do. Imagine we take a line and we draw a line across the middle of your body, okay, your waist, right? Just imagine a horizontal line across the middle of your body, all right? And if I ask you, where are you? Where is your awareness? Is it above the line or is it below the line? Okay. If you had to choose, you have to choose one. Are you above the line or are you below the line? I think most of us would agree that I'm above the line. I'm somewhere up here, right? I'm not below my waist. And when I say I would think of myself as being up here somewhere. Okay, so that's the first thing we do. Now do the same thing, but draw this line at your neck level, okay? Here. Draw a line here, and if I ask you the same question, if you had to choose, where are you? Where are you? Are you above this line, or are you below the line? I think again, most of us will say, I'm above this line. Yes, I'm up here somewhere. Yeah, if I had to locate myself, that's where I think I would be. Okay, now we're going to say we're above this line, right? We're above the neck. Now, imagine two vertical lines, okay? One at one eye, one at the other eye, two lines, okay? And if I ask you the same question now, but I say, are you to the right of this line? Are you to the left of this line? Or are you somewhere in the middle? Where are you? Okay. Again, I think most of us would agree, I'm in the middle here. I sit somewhere maybe like behind the eyes in the center here. That's where I am. If you ask me, when I say I, that's where I see myself located. Yes. Now, that's fine. That's good. You need to do this yourself. Explore it for yourself. You have to do this experiment quietly for yourself. Where am I located? Yes, I feel that I'm here. So hold on to that sense of I am here. All right. Now ask yourself the same question. Who is aware of that sense of I? You see, even that sense of I that's located up here somewhere is an object. That's the mind, actually. That's not who you are. That is the mind. That is the I, the ego, that forms part of the mind. That is not you, because something deeper is aware of that located I. That is the subject that we're talking about. That is the witness. That is not an object itself, it is the subject. All right? And with this, we come to this conclusion. You are actually the witness consciousness that is observing the mind inside, the body, and the world outside. Okay? That's who you are. You are not the body, you're not the mind. You're this witness consciousness. All right? And that's the gist of what we're going to do for the rest of the session is just going deeper and deeper into this. I'm making this statement to you, and you need to explore it and verify it for yourself. What I'm saying is, you are not the body. You are not the mind. You are the witness of the body and the mind. Okay. And all of this is not to be analyzed logically from a theoretical point of view. We did that in the philosophy part, right? We did that when we studied consciousness, and the brain and dualism and all of that stuff. We did all that. I'm saying let's answer these questions now purely from the perspective of your experience. Okay? So we'll start with the body, and we're going to go deeper into this to show you. I'm just pointing out that you are not the body, and we'll look at it in different aspects of it. Okay, the first is looking at the one and the many. So this part, I say this. Notice that in your experience, there is always a sense of I and this. Okay, subject and object. There is always the I and the this. This will be anything that you can point to. Okay, anything you can point to is this. Okay, Whether it's an external object, like this pen, I can point to it. This, it's an object, okay? Or again, we have to learn to be able to experience the content of our minds and see the things that come up in our minds. Those are also objects. I've said it a few times. Really need to understand this very clearly. A thought, an emotion, an imagination, a memory, any of these things that you experience in your mind, they are objects. They are mental objects. We have to really see this clearly, okay? So whether it's an external object or it's a mental object, notice that always there is, in every experience, I and this. This is anything that you can point to, whether it's an external or an internal object, okay? Then we notice something, the one and the many. What you notice is that I is one. There is only one I. The this is many. There are many, many, many objects, both external physical objects and internal mental objects. There's many of them. They're coming and going and changing all the time. One and many. You are one. Notice this. Your awareness is unitary. There is one I that is aware of these many objects. Okay? So, for example, you have 5 senses, right? You see, you hear, you taste, you touch, you smell. You have 5 senses. And so there's a multitude of these, right? And you have thoughts and you have feelings and perceptions, but they are all presented to you, the one I that is aware of them. Okay? Notice that this I that you are, that I is not made out of parts. Okay? Do you experience yourself in parts? Or are you an individual, a unit? You, when you say I, what are you referring to? It's the one entity that is aware of these things. Okay? And ask yourself this, is part of your consciousness experiencing senses, and another part of your consciousness is experiencing thoughts? No, and I'm not talking about different parts of the brain. Remember, we're not talking about that. I'm just talking about your experience. When you hear something and when you see something, those are known to you, known to I. Is it known to a different I and a different I? Or is it just one I? It's me. I hear, I see. There's only one I. And yet there are many, many this, many, many objects. So from this, see very clearly that you are one. Everything else is many. Okay? And from this, see that you, the one, how can you be the many? The body is many. The body is this. The body, even this body, that a lot of times we think this body is me. I'm this body, and the body is me. The body is made up of parts. Many, many, many different parts. We can experience them, we can observe them, we can taste them, we can touch them, we can even smell the body if you don't take a shower. You experience the body. The body is made up of parts. It consists of many, and it is this. I can point to it. It's an object. You, that is the one. How can you be the many? Body is many. So how can you be this many? Okay. So something just to actually contemplate, okay? Like I said, if you just read these words on the slide, you'll think, honey, these are really simple thoughts. I mean, my 6-year-old son or daughter can say these things. It's very obvious. It is, but if you go deep within your own experience, see this very clearly. See that there is one I, and see that there are many, many objects, including this body. What you call this body is I. That's the mistake we make. We think we are the body. See that it is just an object. See that it is made up of lots of parts that this one I is aware of. It is not part of the body. Okay? You are not the body. Next, the changing and the unchanging. So again, in your own experience, notice I and this. Now notice changing and unchanging. The I is unchanging. The this is always changing. Okay, so remember right at the beginning, I said, oh, wow, look at this flow of sensations and thoughts and feelings. Everything's changing, coming, going. Yes, but actually, if you look carefully, you'll see that there is the witness that is not changing. That is the one that is aware of the changing. So the one unchanging I sees the changing body that is made of many parts, changing and unchanging. Notice this, pay attention to it, and stay with it. Explore the fact that there is a deeper dimension in you that is not changing. It's just there, observing what's happening, just pure witnessing. It's unchanging. And before it, everything is changing. And differentiate between this. See how clearly one is changing, one is unchanging, and this many objects are changing. So it's not true that everything is changing all the time. Actually, it's not true. Explore this in your own experience and see that you are not changing at the deepest level. To whom does this changing body appear? To you, the unchanging. Okay? So you are the unchanging. Everything else is changing. You, the unchanging, how can you be this thing that is always changing? The body is constantly changing. So how can this unchanging be the body? It is not. That witness is not the body. Okay. In fact, we know scientifically, right, that all of the cells in the body, there are 30 trillion cells in the body. Okay. And yet all of them are dying and born and dying. And I think it's every few years where literally every single cell in your body will have changed, meaning that it will have died and a new cell would have taken its place. So every few years, I think that's true. I mean, we should check that, but I'm pretty sure I remember hearing that. Every few years, you literally have a completely new body. Every single cell dies and is born again. So this body that's constantly changing, is that you? How could it be you? And yet something is there that is not changing. Okay, that's another one. The third one, in your experience, again, notice the I and this, right? We said the I and the this. The I is always internal. The this is external to the I. Okay, what do you mean by this is that if you think about it in your own experience, right? Let's take the body. Okay, you experience the body, you see it, you feel it. Are you outside the body looking into it? Or are you inside this body looking out at it? Okay? The I is always internal. It's within. Okay, it's within the body. The body is the external. And so it's a very simple observation. You are internal, everything else is external to you. Okay, from within your experience, just looking at your own consciousness, your own experience, I am internal. Everything else is external to that sense of I. Okay. So again, same point. You, the internal. How can you be the external? Body is external to you. How can this internal be the body? It's not. It's a beautiful practice to see that you can almost see like a separation. There's a gap between you and the body. And that's what we're doing here. We are creating a gap so that you can see clearly that you are not this body. And this will be how we will find liberation and real peace and happiness, because this body is going to be this one of the sources of our suffering, in the sense that we think we are this body, right? All of us, we believe we are this body. And if you believe you are this body, you will always be in suffering, because this body is finite. It is going to die one day. It's going to get sick. It's going to get old and weak, and it's going to die. If that's what you are, then you're going to experience a lot of pain and suffering. All of this is to create this gap between us, to see that, fortunately, the good news is you are not this body. And that's what we are doing by exploring this experientially. Okay. Next, this one is very powerful as well. The knower and the known. Again, in your experience, notice I is always the knower, and everything else is known. Everything else is an object. Okay. The knower and the known. You are sentient. You are aware. You are conscious. Everything else is not. Okay. You always see the object. The object never sees you. Okay. So when I see my hand here, so look, I'm looking at my hand. I'm the knower, and the known is my hand. Is it ever the other way around? Does the hand ever say hello? Yes, I'm here. I'm sentient. I'm aware of you. It never happens. You are the one that knows that. In fact, the body is a dead thing. It's inert. We know the body. The body is known to me. The body does not know me. Again, these are very obvious statements, but actually, if you explore it in your own experience, what it does is it starts to draw your attention to that which is very different to the objects. You will see very clearly that there is an awareness that is different from everything else. It is not the body, and as we'll see later, it is not the mind either. Okay. So you are the known, everything else. I'm sorry, you are the knower, everything else is the known. So then you, the knower, how can you be the known? Okay? The body is known. So how can this knower be the body? There is a clear difference between the seer and the seen, the knower and the known. Okay. All right. The clear objection that you should all have to this last one, the knower and the known, is when you read about these things, they always say the example that someone says, yes, but it hurts, right? The difference with this body and these other objects, if you burn this pen, it doesn't hurt me. But if you burn this body, it hurts. So that's why I think this body is me, because when it hurts, I feel the hurt, right? I feel pain. When it happens to something else, or even if it happens to another human being, I don't feel it directly. I don't feel the pain. I don't feel other people's pain. So that's one of the reasons why we think we are the body, is because we feel this, these sensations that come from the body. Okay, so that sounds like a pretty good objection, right? I think I am this body because I feel this body. I don't feel other bodies, right? But let's look at this carefully. You see that if you look carefully, that the hurt that you feel, right? Take the sensation of pain, that is an object. That too is an object. And you are the knower of that object. You cannot be the object. Okay? You cannot be the object. You are the one that is aware of the object. So you are neither the pain, nor is the pain yours. Okay? You are simply aware of the pain. It arises and it passes away in your consciousness. So I've written here the crystal example because this is my favorite way of illustrating this. I have a crystal ball here. Okay, it's just a plain, clear crystal ball. Okay. Now, what happens when I hold it in front of this shawl? It takes on the color of the shawl, right? If I put it in front of something with a different color, it shows up with a different color. Okay, this is an example to just illustrate the nature of your consciousness. Consciousness itself is like clear glass. It itself has no qualities, but it is a reflection. It can reflect what it comes near to. In the same way, what's happening if you feel pain in the body, if you burn, if you touch fire or something burns your body, you experience pain. But notice clearly that what's happening is that the pain is arising in your consciousness. It is something you are becoming aware of. Now, philosophically, it is absolutely wrong to say that you are that which you are aware of. Okay, it's just simply wrong. You cannot say you are that which you are aware of. What we can say is, I am aware of the pain. I experience the pain. But that does not mean I am the pain, right? That's a jump that you're making. And that does not prove that you are this body. It just means that this body is connected somehow to your consciousness. It's close to your consciousness, so you feel the effects of the body. Yeah, you feel the effects of the body. It's like if you were wearing a wool jacket. Okay, you're wearing a wool jacket without anything under it, and you start to feel heat and itching and so on. Yeah, you feel it. But does that mean you are the wool jacket? You're not. You say, no, this is not me, but it is causing these sensations that I feel, that I experience. In the same way, this body is not me, but I experience sensations arising as a result of it in my consciousness. Okay, so just being very careful to analyze our day-to-day experience. These are none of the things that I just went through. None of them are extraordinary experiences. All we're doing is very carefully analyzing our day-to-day normal experience. But by doing that, we are trying to remove this ignorance that we have, this misunderstanding that we have about the nature of what we are and how we identify ourselves. We identify ourselves as this body and this mind, and we are not those. And that's the root of our problem. And that is what's preventing us from seeing the nature of consciousness itself and the fact that we are that witness consciousness. Okay. So I'll summarize. The body is many, the I is one. The body is changing, the I is unchanging. The body is external, the I is internal. The body is known, the I is a knower. So I am the one conscious witness that is aware of the body. How can I be the body? And from that, let us see the body for what it is. It is an object. It is not I. And what we'll see from this is that it will start to actually have an amazing impact on our experience of life altogether, because it is freeing. You will see that this body is actually the source of so much of our suffering. The fact that we think that we are this body, and that whatever happens to this body is happening to me. Um, and so that confusion that we have is a problem. It's a real core problem for us in this life. And this type of contemplation will help us to overcome that and see that it's not even a part of me. It is not even a part of what I am. It's not essential to what I am. Okay, that's all I wanted to cover for today. Next time we go to look at the mind, and we'll do a very similar exercise looking at the mind. And that one is even more important, okay? Because I think, most people will believe that I'm not just this body, right? If you have any kind of a spiritual understanding, you say, look, I'm not just this body, right? There's a mental dimension to me. I'm like an embodied mind, like I'm a mind in this body. I'm not just the body. So maybe this part was easier to see. But then when we come to the mind, we'll see that that causes even bigger problems, because we all believe that we are this mind. The thoughts, the memories, the relationships, the personal history that we have, our likes, our dislikes, our beliefs, all of these things, we believe we are those. And we will see in the same way that we are not the mind either. Okay, so I'll stop there for today. Thank you.